this session. So first we have Dana Costa, who is the president of the Highland Park Tennis Association in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Next, we have Tim Fitzgerald, who is the director of tennis at DuPont Country Club in Wilmington, Delaware. After that, we have Thomas Johnston. He is the director of tennis at Sea Colony Tennis Resort in Bethany Beach, Delaware. We also have Phil Myers, who's the director of tennis at Wisehaven Tennis Center. Next up is Ella Enzi, racket sports manager and director for the Penn Summer Tennis Camp at the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia. And lastly, we have Wilson Pipkin, who is the director of tennis at Hempfield Rec Center in Landisville, Pennsylvania, and he is also the Middle States board president. So everybody, we thank you so much for being part of this panel, and we look forward to having some great discussions. One thing that we discussed earlier is we didn't want this whole thing to be about COVID-19, but the fact that it is a pretty big issue, and it's something that has been affecting a lot of people. I did want to at least look into how COVID has changed the way that you guys have done adult programming. And I'd like to just open it up and see if there's anything in particular that you and your facility has been doing to kind of cope with COVID and with your adult members.
Well, I'll start. From a programming perspective and teaching perspective, we've gone almost to all live hitting as opposed to having people in lines and being really close to each other. So we've had, people at, opposite net post and baseline and going to more live hitting, which I think is actually a really good thing. The kind of traditional ways to feed balls and people get the ball right in their strike zone. But in a lot of ways, I think this is better. I think a combination is probably the best. But we went to more of a live hitting format, and I think people really enjoyed that a lot. And I think it really ultimately better.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Yes.
Yeah, we've had to offer DuPont a lot more. Our numbers have been up significantly, so we've had to offer different things during the day. We've had to offer more evening clinics. And again, we've tried to move a little more towards live ball, but also, no one's touching the tennis balls. We're wiping down hoppers after each use. People are taking turns. So it's just, we've had to really increase our offerings and staffing as well.
Yeah, we kind of had the same thing going, but one thing that we did at the facility to keep it a safer, cleaner facility, we had a company called in. They're called Micro Shield. And they sprayed down all the touch points in our facility, all the doors, all the baskets, all of our fitness equipment. And what it does is you can have your facility fogged and it kills the virus. But if they come and do the second application, that virus will not sit on your desk, on the teaching cart, on a machine for a full year. So we really felt like our facility was really clean and pretty safe for people. And that really helped us. We had a lot of people in and out of here in the summer. We do a day camp with about 200 kids, and we didn't have any cases with any instructors. And we're not just tennis, we're tennis, fitness, aquatics, day camp. So we had the whole facility sprayed. So that's just one way that we try to make the facility a little bit safer, along with, keeping doors open, keeping wipes on every teaching cart, things like that. Just try to take that extra step to keep the facility clean and safe.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of precautions that people definitely probably didn't think about before this happened. What about non-traditional hours? Has anybody gone and had different hours or maybe offered things at different times to people who may be working from home and maybe more flexible with this type of thing?
Over at Penn, it's definitely a unique situation working for a university. Right now, we are open in the morning, so 7:45 to 12:45. Then we're closed from 1 to 4 p.m. because it was during the hottest period of the day. And we're reopened from 4 to 8 o'clock. Now that the weather's starting to get cooler, we've submitted detailed plans that is pending approval from our provost office to be able to extend our hours even further. But initially when we were reopened, it was probably about like 90 degrees in the middle of the day. So we did close our facility in the middle of the day. Yeah.
Yeah, and going back to Wilson, you're talking about the fog thing that you guys use to enact to help with safety measures. What are some other safety measures that some other of you guys have been doing to help kind of ensure the safety of your members and your players and all of that during this time?
At Penn, we've transitioned to online reservations. Everything is handled online prior to somebody coming to our facility. So even membership purchases is handled online. We've also created a detailed resource hub that is a page on our website. So it's preparing for your visit. So everything that a member or visitor and guest would need to know prior to coming to our facility, whether that's what the traffic flow would look like, the waivers updated waivers with COVID language that they need to have signed prior to coming, what the member guidelines are looking like, how to make an online reservation, so just some of those things. So it's just as seamless as possible, and they're prepared prior to coming onto our campus.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. Just a lot of prep, or as much as you can.
Right, we did pretty much the
Wilson.
same thing. We're encouraging more people to register online. Just we had that downtime of like 3 months, and so it gave us time to really put that into place. We weren't going to start it till fall or possibly next year, but we're really trying to push people onto that online registration. Our facility had the capacity to do it. We were just always too busy to make it happen. But during the downtime, we looked at different projects that we could try to make the facility better, and that worked out to be safer for the clients.
Awesome. And any other outside the box ideas that your club has enacted? I know Dana, we spoke earlier, and you mentioned a virtual tournament. I thought that was kind of a really cool idea. And I just want to know if you could elaborate on that a little bit more about how you did that, and kind of give some of the attendees some neat outside of the box ideas to do while you're having to be more distant and possibly even virtual.
Yes, we've run several tournaments during our summer, which are usually our biggest fundraiser for our organization. And this year, obviously, with COVID, we weren't able to hold any of our events. So we came up with the idea to host a virtual tournament that would go live over Zoom, and it would be a bracket play. And then each round would consist of different tennis skills that you can do within your home. And then it was set up and designed to be timed, and then the first one to complete it in that set time would win the first set, and then the next set would be a different activity that they would have to compete, such as how many times can you hit the ball on the edge of your racket in a minute, and the person who would win that would go on to the next in the bracket, move on in the bracket and compete again.
I think we might be losing Dana just a little bit, so we'll go on to the next part. So some more outside the box things that we discussed. Some at-home tennis tips. I forgot. I think
the next participant.
Oh.
Unfortunately, I think a lot of people didn't understand the concept. It's probably on paper as well as I could have, but it's definitely something that we use, which is normally our downtime.
That's great. So we lost you a little bit there, Dana, but I think we got the gist of it. The minute to win it format, I think, is definitely super creative and is really neat. But I want to open it up before we go on to the next part. Any other outside the box ideas that your club has enacted during COVID? I think we've mentioned before some at-home tennis tips and some family tennis camps. Would anybody like to elaborate on some of that stuff that they're doing at their facility?
Well,
Sure, I'll get into the, go ahead, Thomas.
Go ahead, Thomas, and we'll go you, Ella, after that.
Okay, thanks. I think it's not so out of the box, but it did force us into staying relevant. So we started doing a ton more videos and a lot more interactive stuff with Facebook Live. and we never had done any of that. So the good thing, I guess, about, you know, COVID, if there is anything good, is that it did make us think. It did make us kind of, you know, do more media, social media with Facebook Live and recording tennis tips and things like that. And then I guess the other thing is, you're mentioning programming and out of hours. I noticed that our early morning programming just blossomed. It went from kind of mellow at 8 o'clock to super busy at 8 o'clock. So I guess that's about it.
Awesome. And then Ella, you had something to add to that?
Yeah, working for a university, we were closed a lot longer than some of the other clubs in the Philadelphia area. So we, prior to COVID, were already offering Tennis Tip Tuesdays, but we continued with that on social media and tailored it to at-home tips, drills, challenges that our pros were sharing with them, and then had members send in videos of them demonstrating the tips. We also had done weekly member talks that was led by one of our senior pros, which, you know, each week would focus on a certain aspect of their game, and the pro would show some videos from some recognizable names to break down what they're doing well and how you can apply that at a recreational level. Did a talk with Penn Medicine on injury prevention, because a lot of people were at home for a period of time. Some of the things that they can be thinking about, and stretches, and being able to properly warm up when they're getting back into tennis. So just trying to find, I think it's almost impossible to reach absolutely every single person, but we definitely tried as much as possible to be able to engage with our members either through Facebook, Instagram, or weekly Zoom sessions.
Awesome. Well, yeah, a lot of great things, and it's great to see you guys being so creative during this time, especially since this is probably unprecedented when it comes to you know, just being away from tennis and on a normal club schedule for so long. But we're gonna shift away from COVID, and we're gonna go to when we are hopefully, fingers crossed, back on a somewhat normal schedule, and wanted to discuss with you guys kind of what you guys do as far as competition and events and stuff like that when we're not hampered by COVID. What are some, and I want to open this up to everybody, but what are some popular original programs or events that have brought in new members or have helped with your retention? I'd like to open this up to anybody, and we can definitely take a few people with this one.
I can. Oh, go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, real quick. We run a Monday match play, which is a drop-in. You know, every Monday, rain or shine, come and show up. Any skill, any level, any age, you know, above obviously 18, because we do some stuff for the juniors. And that's been a great way for just members to have no pressure, come out and, you know, get to play and get connected. That's the most important part with newer members, especially, you know, when everything was so kind of closed down. Members just wanted to get out and meet people, and, you know, people's bubbles were smaller than others. And so it was a little bit of a comfort thing when we first started. In like late May, but, you know, as the season came along, you know, we were having 24 to 28 players coming out every Monday, looking to meet. So
they've lost them a little bit there. Awesome, Tim. Well, I think we lost you a little bit at the end there, but again, we got a good gist of that, and that's great. I think Wilson, you wanted to add?
Yeah, I just with the USPTA leagues canceling for the summer, that's such a big business for us because we do about 50 teams. So we had to get a little creative, like what were we going to offer, what were people comfortable with, and we found one that people were comfortable playing here and not traveling. They didn't want to carpool. They wanted to play at the facility that they're comfortable with, and they knew what we were doing. So I put together a combo league, threw it out, see if it would happen. You know, one of those things you don't know. But I found out that tennis players were pretty resilient. We ended up with about 340 players in about 2 weeks. So we did all the matches here on the weekends only. We asked people, you know, if you're in a common area, wear a mask to and from the court, but don't hang out. And we know tennis people like to be very social. They want to hang out, they want to go out afterwards, but we really encourage them to come and play their matches and then go on home. But and it started that way, but as things started loosening up a little bit, it became a little bit more social here at the end of the summer. But it was just a great opportunity for people to play matches. It didn't go into Tennis Link. We actually used the Serve First platform, which Kathy Schock sold it to me, and we used it, and we liked it. We had some issues with it, but we were the guinea pigs with the program. But it's really nice because they took a lot of feedback back and forth of things that we look for as facilities on ways that they could enhance that program that's coming up. So it ran really good. The members really enjoyed it.
Awesome. Great. Yeah, shameless plug. We have a couple serve sessions coming up as well later on this month. So for all the people that are wanting to get some more info on serve tennis, there's something in there for you. Phil, I wanted to get in touch with you about this. We talked about it a little bit, but I thought you had some really cool creative ideas with your adult tournaments, and I would love for you to elaborate on that a little bit more and kind of tell me or tell us how you go about your adult tournaments and what you do to make them fun and creative and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, well, for starters, we hold them. Not a lot of people have adult tournaments anymore, especially for all levels. We try to make them as accessible as possible to every player at our club, not just the ones that are used to playing open draws. So the biggest thing for us is, one, we need a place for all of our players to want to belong in these tournaments. Okay. Two, we try to make them fun themed tournaments. So we kind of think outside the box with a few of these things. I try to theme the trophies. Some of them are homemade. A lot of it's a lot of time involved, more than anything else. And recently with the way that COVID's been going, we were still able to hold several of our tournaments once, we were back in action. But the advantage of, the way that we run the tournaments is if I have, multiple draws going, I can stagger them so that not everybody is there at the exact same time. So it's kind of nice in that regard. And still a way to get the maximum number of people involved as well. Yeah, I mean, just for example, I'll go into just a few of the tournaments that we run. A couple years ago, we got this idea that we were going to hold some sort of manly singles and doubles tournament. So that's kind of where the Lumberjack Open was born. And so we didn't want to just go with, run-of-the-mill trophies. Yeah, I mean, we've gotten some really quality trophies from a lot of the places, Netnacks included. But we wanted something a little bit different for that one in particular. So what we actually ended up with, and I have it here with me, is one of the local guys ended up wood burning axes for us with the inscription, of the tournament, along with our key sponsor and our club logo at either end. Okay, so it is actually a real working axe in case anybody was wondering. But it's definitely a big conversation piece for, those of our players that end up taking those home. So we had full-size axes for the winners, and we had about half-size hatchets then for the finalists. That was like our big one. That kind of started it. And then this year we kind of took it, a little bit further, and we decided that we were going to start running, more tournaments, maybe like one a month. And yeah, COVID kind of threw a monkey wrench into the, into the works there for a while, but we were able to come up with the Shamrock Open then too. So we ended up, this is also homemade. So we ended up with this one with our pot of gold. So that's kind of where we were for that. And then finally, York County, where we reside, that's, we have a very proud history for our county tournament. This year was actually the 100th annual. So it's been 100 years. We wanted to do something very unique for that. So I ended up using one of our employees whose dad has a plasma cutter in his garage. And he ended up fabricating, little York counties out of steel. And then we had those laser engraved for the winners and the finalists the whole time. I know you can barely see it, but there it is. There's the lighting.
Wow.
So if you look on a map, yes, it matches perfectly. But yeah, I mean, those are the things that we do. We try to have everything be fun, themed, something that everybody wants to take part in. And the next one coming up, like the big one coming up in October, is 21 and over tournament only. It's called the Kager Open, and we will be giving out engraved mini kegs to the winners for that one. So
wow.
That's kind of where we're at lately.
do you hear a lot from the people who sign up for the tournament? Do you hear a lot of them say one of the big reasons that they signed up for it was because of the trophy, or that may have been more of a reason than usual for them to sign up for those?
Absolutely. A lot of the people that compete in the tournaments, like they're in it to win it. And, you know, like by us offering multiple draws, everybody feels like they have a fighting chance when they get into it. So, yeah, the trophy is definitely one of the reasons that, you know, everybody plays. So we try to get as creative as possible.
That's awesome. Yeah, that you were telling me about that, and I was so happy that you have like the trophies that you could have shown everybody, because I think that's such a really neat, really creative idea. Moving on. I reached out to you guys about this, and I know that, you know, we're mainly adult programming, but I also wanted to hear your guys' relations with your local school districts and how that might also help with your adult programming. I think some of you had some great ideas of what you guys have done to partner with the schools, as well as use that to get on and get some adult members. Do any of you care to elaborate on your partnerships with schools and what you've done to help with your adult membership?
Sure. At Penn, we are the only facility like in the actual city of Philadelphia. So we've reached out to a lot of local schools that are walking distance to Penn and created a partnership with the Philadelphia School, which is a K-8 private school. So we reached out to them and created an after-school tennis club where the kids will walk from their school over the bridge onto Penn's campus and learn tennis for an hour, which is super cool for them. And also we're the home for their middle school tennis team. And through that, we've kind of learned about, you know, non-traditional marketing, where we found that by reaching out to these local schools, we've also been able to reach these parent committees and mom groups where parents are initially looking for something for their kids, but also are able to see that, oh, there's also something for me. I can take lessons while my kid is in a class, or I can do a cardio tennis class while my kid is in an after school program. So it's sort of, in reaching out to juniors, it's kind of become like a family affair where parents are also interested in something for them. So they're able to play with their kids. So.
Wow, that's great. That's definitely tapping into a market that that maybe wasn't initially a thought. Do you feel like you guys have reached out to a lot of parents that have taken over and have started playing a lot more tennis because their kids are involved with their kids' school district is involved with you guys?
Oh, absolutely. You know, when I first started at Penn, we went the route of, you know, traditional like targeted ads through Facebook, through Google. But honestly, where we've seen the most success is through this word of mouth, through non-traditional marketing of you know, reaching out to parents of kids in local schools. We've definitely seen our programming increase and interest in lessons and clinics from parents of kids who have attended our summer camp or attended any of our junior programming.
That's awesome. It's great. What about relationships with high school coaches? I want to open it up to the other panelists. Do any of you guys have relationships with your high school coaches or local high school teams? And can you tell me how you have started that relationship and what you do to use to help with your membership?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, a lot of our high school coaches are members of the club. Most high school coaches have, some sort of foundation as tennis players. And a lot of our club players tend to be the high school coaches in the area. So some of them I've taught as they came up. They're pretty young. And then we have a lot of the, more of the institutions in the high school tennis league that have been at our club for a long time. So at Wisehaven in particular, I've partnered with, several of the high school coaches to actually go on site at the high school to provide like a camp for a week for everybody in their program. And then we open it up to anybody in the immediate area that wants to come too, because it actually makes our instruction more accessible. York County is a big place. So in some, from here to the west side of the county, it's close to an hour. Driving time. So if we end up over, 45 minutes away, it makes the instruction a lot more accessible for the high school kids over there. And we provide a lot of value then to those kids. And we're more likely then to see them during the winter as well because of that.
Yeah, to piggyback Phil's idea, we run a high school coaches workshop every February, get to know the coaches. And that's a way for us to kind of get connected to kids that normally don't our programs. So that's another way as well to kind of really, and then reach out to, more non-traditional marketing, what Ella was saying, and just have word of mouth and be able to pull kids from their programs that normally otherwise wouldn't come to the club.
Mm-hmm.
We connected during these times, we connected with the city of Pittsburgh public schools to offer scholarships to their tennis players, which brought awareness to our club. But it also allowed participants from our clinic and participants from the high school to participate in a scholarship fund, which we in turn helped them on their college endeavor.
Wow, that's great. Having a big city is definitely super helpful, but it's also great that you're able to really tap into that as well. That's awesome. Does anybody else have anything to add with how they partner with schools or their local high school teams or anything like that? All right. Moving on, we're going to go, this is going to be more geared towards Wilson and Thomas. Talking about your pro circuit events, you both host professional women's events. Unfortunately, they didn't happen this year due to COVID, but it's definitely something that I can't speak for Thomas's, but I know Wilson's you do a phenomenal job of reaching out to the community, and I know that the players really think that it's a well-run tournament. But I wanted to kind of dive into that a little bit more with both of you and get your thoughts on the programming and the events that go on within the event, and what you guys do as far as that goes. And for people who are attending this, you may not have a women's professional tournament, but there might be something big that brings a lot of people, and we'd love to hear some other ways to really reach out to as many people as possible. If you guys could go and elaborate on that.
Wilson, go ahead, my fellow Texan.
Sounds good. I think when I started, we've been like 13 years in. And when I started, it was all about having this professional tournament. And as the years have gone on, it's really more about the community programming. And there's almost like a tennis tournament going on to the side. It's kind of funny how it happens. But for me, being at this facility for over 30 years, I know pretty much all the players, everybody that plays tennis, even if they don't play here, or they play in Lancaster County or York County or whatever, I just can recognize the players. So for me, I get pretty excited when I see somebody in the stands. There could be 600-700 people in the stands, but there are people that I don't know. And that's the part that I like the most, because we're reaching another market, to expose them to tennis. Maybe they just like to watch it. Maybe they have some interest, or they have kids that are interested. But two of the bigger events that we run, our local district, the Central Pennsylvania District, and the USPTA Middle States, they collaborate to do a millennial mixer right before the tournament starts. So the players are there warming up. We have a bar set up. We've got food. And they're playing tennis, but they're playing cornhole. It's really just a time for them to get together and play some tennis. And it's great to see. There was some 5-0 guys there, and they were playing with 2-5 women. It didn't matter. You know, the first year it was like, oh, we got to match these people up. They want to have great competitive tennis, but it literally was just a social event, you know, and so we're getting 45, 50 people out for that. So that went a couple of years, and we still do that. But I also reached out to the Chamber of Commerce, and they have a young professionals group. So we do a mixer before one of the feature matches at night. They come out, they got some food, they can talk business for 30, 40 minutes, but they're also there to see some tennis. So we've actually picked up some business from that, you know, and that's the crowd that we're looking to. They're the future of our tennis, those 24, 25-year-olds. So we have seen some repeat business from that, and just exposing them to tennis, you know. And just one other quick thing, we do a pretty big kids day. You know, we get about 150 kids out, but Kathy Schock, once again, my TSR, Evan was there for it. She would get about 40 volunteers from the adult league program that would come out and volunteer during Kids Day, just to have them help the kids, move the kids along. So we're getting the adults out. They're also volunteering for an event. So we're using them that way as well. And it's never an issue getting people to volunteer. So,
yeah.
Thomas?
It's such a great event.
You know, the most fun thing about ours is the junior aspect of it. And like Kelly Rosero's come the last couple of years, but we've reached out, and now we're working a lot with the Boys and Girls Club in our area, and they come and we teach them actually during the year as well. But the Kids Day is by far the most fun day, and one of the neatest thing about it is watching the pros teach the kids. And some of them are kind of shy at first, but the pros, but then they get the hang of it, and they're a blast. I mean, and the kids are in awe of the pros. It's pretty cool. So I think I've never had a chance. We're so busy. I never get a chance to go watch Wilson's event, but he's been to ours several times. I don't think ours really compares to how great his is.
Yeah, well, I haven't seen yours, Thomas, but I can definitely speak for Wilson's. It's as an employee for USTA going there and working it, it's a blast. I had so much fun doing an on-court activation with about 20 kids on one of the center courts. So that was such a really neat, really memorable experience that I remembered. So I'm sure that the kids all really thought that was really cool too. But going on, I wanted to get into some community engagement. And Tim, I wanted to first ask you, since you are a private facility that caters to your members, but I wanted to kind of see what, as a private facility, what are some things that you do to bring in new members to engage with the community and stuff like that? Could you elaborate on some of that for us?
Yeah, we're kind of lucky with Delaware being such a small community. We're actively involved in a couple grassroots tennis organizations. We host a tennis rocks and tutoring at our indoor facility every winter. We give them 2 courts on Sunday evening, and then we also allow for scholarships through the summer. We allow some of their kids to come for a week for free, just to kind of expose them to a new program. And luckily, again, through the high school coaches workshop and these grassroots organizations, we're able to really pull from so many different areas of Delaware. We're already small, but it's nice that that we have those opportunities through those organizations.
That's great. And Dana, I wanted to loop you in on this as well, because I know that you do something as far as community engagement goes with blind tennis clinics, and I think that's such a neat thing. That you don't hear too much about, and I'd love to hear a little bit more and you explain how you got involved with it and what you guys do to help these people who might have some vision impairments.
Yeah, so Highland Park Tennis Club offers a 12-week free program. That was one of our staple programs, and it's offered to children through adults. And then last year in September, we hosted the first ever blind tennis clinic to give free lessons to those with visual impairments, both children and adults. My daughter has a visual impairment, and she started playing blind hockey. And I was like, if she can play blind hockey, why can't she play blind tennis? And so the research actually started almost 2 years ago, and found out that it's in 32 other countries, not here in the United States. There were several pilot programs in the United States, but other than one, they've never really taken off. So our organization chose to adopt it, implement it, research, work on it as much as we can. We created balls. We reached out to local organizations such as Envision Blind Sports, the local schools that offer programming for visual impairments. We hosted a one-day pilot that was extremely successful. And unfortunately, with COVID, with everything else, we weren't able to hold our clinic this year, but it actually allowed us time to almost perfect our newfound sport and work on some of the housekeeping that from diving in, you didn't really get to tidy up on those ends.
Wow. Yeah, that's really cool. And it's, as a parent, I'm sure you're happy to allow blind tennis and maybe take your daughter away from blind hockey a little bit.
Yes, wow. Yes.
All right. Well, that's really cool. That's great. It's neat to see all that stuff. Phil, I wanted to bring it over to you. We talked about how you guys partner with Tennis for Kids, and I was wondering if you could go into that a little bit more, because I know that you're really well involved with that.
Yeah, Tennis for Kids has been a program in the York area for about probably 30 years. It's just a 5-week program in the summer, designed to give free tennis lessons to basically any kid in York County that, wants it. It started out years ago in just a very small number of sites, and now it's worked its way up to about 25 different sites that they have. So it's actually quite the operation. It's a complete nonprofit. They pretty much operate by, donor only within York County. And it's actually where I started playing tennis in 1996. So it's, I have a lot of history with the program. And then once, a lot of the instructors are just high school kids into college. And then, we have, generally a couple of adults that are running the site, organizing, keeping tabs on the instructors, things like that. But, I joined, I joined the board, about close to 2 years now. And I've been working closely with them. I provide instructional videos for the instructors. And it's just a great way for us to be able to give back to the community in a lot of ways. I know we kind of get like this bum rap for being like a country club sport a lot of the time, but I wasn't that kid growing up, and tennis should be able. It should be accessible to anybody, regardless of your background.
Right. Wow, that's great. It's neat to be able to give back, especially for something you've been in that you were involved in as a kid. So that's definitely really cool. I wanted to, first off, is there anything else with community engagement that anybody else would like to elaborate on that they do with their clubs, or maybe they partner with a local CTA or anything like that? Does anybody else have anything that they'd like to add before we go on?
In addition to some of our clinics that we offer in our tournaments, we do team up with local food banks. We'll host a food drive to give back to the community. During the pandemic, we found organizations that we felt were assisting with our community and provided them with donations. We reached out to local families for support within our community. For each of our tournaments, we always pair up with another nonprofit organization to donate a portion of our proceeds from our tournaments. So we like to stay actively involved in each of our communities.
Oh, that's great. I'm sure they really appreciate all the work you guys are doing then, those food banks. All right, moving on. I wanted to go in and touch on with league tennis slowly starting to come back, and wanted to know everybody's I guess strategies, or maybe some things that they do to reach out to non-league players to join leagues. I know that sometimes can be a somewhat of a daunting thing, especially when, leagues have been established and, a new person coming on into the league, it might seem a little intimidating. Do you guys do anything at your facilities to help those non-league players join a league and kind of feel part of the league and be able to play as league tennis?
Yeah, we offer a lot of our programs are member and non-member based. So the non-member can pay a slight surcharge for clinics, or if it's a mixer or a pop-up event, but it's just a way to let those people have access. And then once we get them in, we typically don't let them go without getting their email or their cell number or whatever. And they're looking for opportunities. I mean, they wouldn't have jumped in if they weren't looking. So it's a great way for us to get them on the court, have some fun, let them know there's teams looking. But we always keep a list in the office of players looking for teams and teams looking for players. So we try to meld those teams together. And if we find that we have enough, we'll just do an in-house team that will play USPTA. So we really try to find a home for everybody if it's whatever level they're at. But typically it's at the 2.5 or 3.0 level, because usually the 3.5s, 4.0s, they have a home. They know that inner working of league tennis and how it works. But there's definitely a great way to grow the game with that 2.5 and 3.0 level.
Yeah, that's great.
Backing off of what Wilson is talking about, I think, when we have new people that are coming into our facility, I think the natural conversation is, well, what do you offer? Like, what clinics do you have? What programs do you have? And I think super important when somebody new is coming into the facility to immediately find out what their interests are and get their level of play. And from that, similar to Wilson, we do keep a list of what their level is. Are they interested in mixed leagues? And from there, try to match them with a captain, or maybe we have a group of people and you have somebody that's super energetic and just moved to the area and is interested in maybe captaining a team. So it just really try to get as much information from people as possible, because as Wilson said, they're itching to get out there and to play. For those people that aren't coming into our facility, we do keep an area on our websites related to league play, where somebody can go onto our website, fill out a form of what they're looking for, whether they're interested in a mixed league, a 5.0 league, 4.0 league, and we're also able to capture that information that way. So if a league captain does reach out to us saying, hey, we need a few players, we immediately have something that we can pull from.
That's great. Does anybody else have anything as far as league tennis in their area that they do to get more people involved?
Well, so we actually, we offer several programs outside of, just USTA. So we have like our in-house singles leagues. I find personally that, once we get going with USTA League, it's so centered around doubles. And there's still a big market for players out there looking for, competitive singles action. So our league is I basically schedule it myself based on, players will sign up, give me their availability, and then I try to, schedule it accordingly so that it's flexible enough for everybody to be able to take part. And we try to group everybody together by skill level, but we're actually toying with age groups this time, because a lot of my 4.0s who are 40 and over are suddenly telling me that they can't keep up with the 18-year-old's legs anymore, even though skill level wise they're exactly the same. So we're kind of going with that this fall and seeing how it goes. And then the other thing that we do in terms of like USTA League is we try to, I have a couple people that kind of work with transitioning our juniors who are graduating from high school into playing USTA League tennis. We find that that's the best way for our retention rates to stay up, because we lose a lot of kids as soon as they graduate and they're like, I'm just never going to play tennis again. And meanwhile, we're like, look, there's a lot of options out there. You just spent the last, a lot of them 15 years playing tennis. Like, if you quit now, it might be another 20 years before you get back into it. So we try to get the momentum going immediately from high school, try to get them together with all of their friends and get them on the exact same team. Most of them around the same skill level. So we ended up with a lot of players at like the 3-5 and the 4-0 level, and, you know, a few at the 4-5 level, but a lot of them, we've successfully found homes for them, and they have a great time, and they play pretty much every year now, going like through college and then into early adulthood.
Yeah, it's one of those sports that's great about tennis is that it's not like a football or you know, those contact sports where unless you're playing in college as far as like club or something or varsity, then you're not, you know, some people aren't going to be playing their sport ever again. Luckily, tennis, we have that outlet to really promote it as much as possible for, what'd you say, Thomas, from 4 to 94? Is that the ages of the people you've taught? Awesome.
Yeah, big variety.
Yeah. All right. So we're coming on to the last few things here. And I wanted to pivot over and talk about professional development and what you guys do, or maybe not, if you're a director, what you encourage your staff to do as far as professional development, especially during the pandemic. I'd like to open up to everybody and what you require your staff to do as far as professional development every year in order to, you know, stay relevant and stay up to date with what's going on in college, not college, in USTA and all that stuff.
I certainly encouraged all my staff. I mean, we were luckily only closed. We had to close our indoor building for about a week, and then we were able to teach lessons outside. But every week I'd have them do at least 1 or 2 videos, either through USPTA or through like Jorge Capistani is another one. And that was just a great way for us to kind of keep up and really stay sharp, because there was a little more downtime and less lessons. So
great. Anybody else for professional development?
We all naturally started going to the USPTA website and started sharing different videos with each other and different instructional videos, and that was really good. As well as I mentioned earlier, doing all the videos together, we collaborated on most of them, and that was a lot of fun, and we all learned a whole lot. So about teaching and presenting and just working together. So pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yep, great. That's such great implementation. It's as a former college tennis coach, that's what I used to do a lot, just to look up different ideas. Does anybody else have anything as far as professional development that you guys have done?
Before each of our clinics each year, we offer a coaching development clinic. It's a 1-day program. We team up with the USTA. They'll bring out professionals and give us a brush up. With us being a volunteer-based organization, it brings in our volunteers and gives them ideas on how to use on-court instruction.
Awesome.
Yeah, there are definitely a great number of USPTA webinars for CEUs. I definitely took advantage of some of the USTA ones as well. I thought the one on reopening indoor facilities was helpful for me to just hear what other facilities are doing, hear from National on things we should be thinking about, you know, when reopening indoor facilities. I also, during the time we were closed, had some time to really assess like what we offer. So worked with our coaching staff just to create a comprehensive like coaching guide of all the classes that we offer, and have them really sit down and put together, you know, what are the objectives and goals for each of these classes, have them think about what necessary skills would a junior or adult need to progress from a beginner class to an advanced beginner class, which led them to kind of looking at some videos to get ideas for drills, just get out of some of the monotony of you doing a class every week and going forehand, backhand, making them look at what else they could be doing to improve that class. Everyone has their own coaching style, but I think that it really helps for all of our coaches to lean on each other to create that. And the foundation is there, but just having them look back and try to create some continuity between all of our coaches. Maybe if someone's filling in for a class or if the new instructor is teaching that class, it's just good to have a blueprint of this is what we offer, this is how we're doing it, and making sure that everyone is on the same page.
Great. It's good stuff there. All right, so we're coming on towards the end right here. So I'm going to ask one more question, and we'll go through, and I'll have everybody answer that. If we do have any questions that come up, we haven't had any yet, I don't believe. But if anybody has any questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A, and we should have a couple minutes at the very end there. But just going off, I'll start off with Wilson here, and I just want everybody to answer just briefly. What does the future look like for you, your organization, your facility as it relates to adult programming? Go ahead. We'll start with Wilson with this.
Well, I think they keep saying how safe tennis is, and going forward, it's one of the safest things you can do. So I think it looks bright for us. We have a lot of new people coming back to the game. They call and said, "Hey, we played 20 years ago. We want to try tennis again. What do you have to offer?" So we're getting a lot of calls that way. And then also they said, well, we have kids too that maybe we want to get them involved. So I think adult tennis looks good. Our fall season looks packed. So luckily for us, we have indoor and outdoor courts. So everything that we book indoor, we're booking outdoor, giving the players the opportunity to play outdoors instead of just using the indoor courts, because people just feel safer being outdoors. So I think the future is bright for tennis.
Awesome. Thomas?
I'd have to agree. For example, I taught a lady named Tammy this morning. She hadn't played for 15 years, and she's decided to start playing again. She's having a blast, and probably the main reason she's playing, it's safe, it's great exercise. All our programming this summer has increased. Adult programming, we're doing more than we did last summer. Where we're not doing as much is junior tennis camps, just because of COVID. But the adult programming has sustained the same levels as last year, and in most cases increased.
That's great. Phil?
Yeah, I think honestly, from the adult perspective, we look just as busy, if not busier than, we were before the pandemic. I think that, the loss of, the loss of the ability to play tennis for about 3 months of people's lives has kind of driven them. I wouldn't say it's a frenzy, but it's certainly driven demand up considerably. From my standpoint, my clinics during the summer, they're not usually full, and they're all drop-in based, but now we've moved to like a system where they have to reserve their spot ahead of time, and we cap the number of people that are allowed to participate, and it's full pretty much every clinic because everybody now kind of like plans their schedule around being able to play tennis. It's just one of those things that keeps people sane, especially when they ended up with their kids full time for 3 more months than they really wanted to. So,
yeah, that's a good point. All right, Ella.
Yeah, I think based on what everyone else is saying, I mean, tennis is low risk sport. So I think that during this pandemic, it's good to see that there's an interest. From my perspective, working at a university, we really need to be creative in how we are able to offer things. There's definitely more red tape than there is at other clubs. So I think that we have to be creative, and we also need to be able to communicate effectively. As we are beginning to look to offer adult programs with people having work from home schedules and kids that may be learning virtually, also needs to look at the times that we're offering things. So, not assuming, and just trying to be creative and communicate.
That's great. And Dana, you could give your 2 cents on this, then we'll go to Tim.
Yeah, just like everybody else, I feel like the CDC bringing attention to our sport has grown our participation. Our courts are full each and every time. Moving forward for us, I feel that we are going to continue our free program to grow blind tennis across our state and across our country, and to grow our tournaments with our new players.
Great. And then Tim, we'll end with you there. And I think we've got a question that's come up in the Q&A as well.
Yeah, I mean, most importantly, I think we just need, with all the uptick in adult participation, I think we really need to be prepared with programming. I think that's the number one thing, whether it be in Phil's case, more tournaments or different like little off leagues or something to supplement this higher demand. Extremely important to be prepared that way, whether it's in the evening, during the day, in early mornings before work, or even online reservation systems. So I think the important part is with everyone seeing increased numbers is increased preparation and increased programming.
Awesome. Great. And then I think we had one question in the Q&A. Sharon, could you unmute and get that question for us? It looks like there's one question in the Q&A.
Yeah. It says, what are you guys doing to support the Black Lives Matter movement?
Okay. All right. This will be our last question, and then we'll have to adjourn from there. But there's Black Lives Matter has definitely been a really important part going forward. Have you guys been doing anything at your facilities to support the Black Lives Matter movement?
Nothing directly, but we do work with at-risk youth in the city of Wilmington, and through Rodney Street Tennis and Tutoring Association and Tennis Rocks, who we host here in the winters. So indirectly, but not, be open to all ears how we could support BLM directly through tennis programming or through a private club.
And same with us, indirectly through the Boys and Girls Club and some other social movements who are supporting that. So. All
right.
At Penn, we've been very limited on what we can offer. Right now, we're only open for outdoor court reservations and for private lessons. But I will say, as a university, our athletic department has been offering a lot of webinars for our staff to educate themselves on the Black Lives Matter movement.
Great. Awesome. Well, we are at 3:01 right now. So we're going to adjourn. We thank you everybody who attended this session. We hope you got something out of this. We have several more sessions going on through the rest of the month of September. So we look forward to having a lot more and having you guys attend those. So I'd like to thank our panelists, Wilson, Thomas, Phil, Ella, Dana, and Tim. You guys brought a lot of great insights, and we really appreciate everything that you guys are doing for tennis in Middle States and in your areas. But yeah, great. We thank you so much, and we hope that everybody has a great rest of the day.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.